ho ho, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is April, and in this video I'm transforming a bunch of thrifted items to match my black and white Christmas theme this year. Everything turned out so perfect, and I can't believe it was all thrifted and DIY'd. So I hope this inspires you to shop secondhand before buying new decor, and let's get started. The very first items I'll be transforming is this black sweater that has a hole in it and this black and white gingham dress I thrifted a while back that I've been meaning to use. Since my tree is decorated with black and white gingham ribbons, I wanted to make a pair of stockings to match. I used this stocking I already had at home to trace out and cut two boots from the black sweater and the gingham dress. I'll be keeping the scraps for another project in the future. Now we can sew each boot right sides together, leaving the top open. I took one black boot and one gingham boot and faced the top edge right sides together and sewed around the circle, leaving an opening to turn the entire thing inside out. Next, I turned each boot inside out through the opening, and then I tucked the gingham boot inside the knitted boot. Lastly, close up the opening by tucking the raw edges inside and top stitching or slip stitching it closed. Then I can fold over the top of the boot to reveal the gingham print inside. To finish it off, I used my Cricut to cut out some iron-on vinyl letters for our names and sewed on ribbon loops so that I can hang them on hooks. And here's what they look like on my fireplace. To be honest, if I could redo these, I would line each knitted piece separately and then sew the boot as one. That way the lining isn't loose inside. It depends on your material as well though. Since the knit material is stretchy, it hangs lower than the lining. So just something to keep in mind when making your own. The next thrifted item I'm transforming is this fleece robe that is super worn out. We got some pilling going on, little stains here and there, and the material overall is not that soft anymore. But I think it would be perfect to turn into Christmas pillows. First, take apart the robe so that you can lay the pieces flat. The sleeves give you a good amount of material for a small pillow once you cut open the underarm seam. And to make a larger pillow, I'll be using the back side of the robe. With the back of the robe folded in half, I marked straight lines on all the sides and cut it out. Next, sew the pillowcase closed but leave an opening to turn it inside out. For the sleeve pieces, I decided on a circle-shaped pillow and evenly marked it out. Then sew around the circle but leave a small opening to turn it inside out. I turned both pillows right sides out and then cut out a snowflake design on some glitter vinyl for the circle pillow, which is more of an oval shape now after I sewed it. The possibilities are endless for how you can decorate your pillow. You can cut your design out from felt and sew or glue it on as well. For the rectangle pillow, I cut out the words Merry Christmas and added 2 holly leaves on the sides. Lastly, fill your pillows up with some stuffing, and this is the perfect opportunity to throw in any leftovers and scrap fabric. I had some robe left over and just decided to cut them up and throw them inside for a complete zero waste project. All that's left to do is hand sew the opening closed with a ladder stitch. How cute did these turn out? Next, I thrifted a black curtain and will be transforming it into a matching tree skirt. I folded the fabric in half and used a tree skirt I already owned as my pattern. If you don't have one to trace, it's super easy to mark out. And if you've ever made a circle skirt, it's pretty much the same. Cut the outer circle to whatever length you want your skirt to be, and cut the inner circle so that it can wrap around the bottom of the tree. To really make my skirt stand out, I wanted a white border, so I went back to the thrift store and found this double-sided blanket that was pretty busted on the inside. The batting was so worn out that it's piled onto one side. I'm only going to be using the white side of the blanket for this project, so I took everything apart. The gray side is really soft still and in better condition than the white side, so I could even turn it into a renewed blanket if I get more batting and new fabric for the back side, or it could even be recycled into a dog bed. To create the border, I marked how wide I want it to be on the black skirt, and then cut that amount away. Next, I used that piece as a guide to cut out the white blanket. There's not enough space to cut out the full circle, so I'm cutting as much as I can first, and we'll add the rest to it as another section. Attach the border pieces together to create one full circle, and then we can pin it right sides together to the black skirt. You may find here that the border is too big or too small after pinning it around. Mine ended up being a little too big to fit the black skirt, so I took in the extra space out from one of the seams. If your border ends up being too small, you can always sew in another section to fit. Once it's all pinned, go ahead and sew the border to the skirt. A tree skirt needs an opening, so I cut one side open, or you can leave it as whole if you remember to throw the skirt on before assembling your tree. I'm making a facing for one side of the opening and will be sewing ribbon loops in between. The other side will have buttons for the loops to attach to. Hem the other side of the opening and hand sew buttons to match the placement of the loops. And here is the finished skirt under my tree. I'll reveal the entire look at the end of the video. The next group of thrift flips I'm going to be working on will be painting projects, starting with the Nutcracker. I'm repainting him black and white to match my theme, so first I have to take off his cape and use rubbing alcohol to remove any glue and pop off the gems. I'm using acrylic paint and I'm pretty much just painting as I see fit here, so enjoy this time lapse. Here's what my finished Nutcracker looks like. Next, I'm repainting this tray white for my coffee table with acrylic paint, but you can also spray paint if you don't want any strokes. To tie it into my theme, I painted the border black, which really helped make it stand out. And lastly, I cut out the words "Let It Snow" from vinyl and added it to the middle of the tray. Here's what it looks like on my table. This decorative wooden sign is the last thrifted item I'm transforming, and I'm starting off by sanding the top layer away. I want to turn this board into a snowman, so I'm first painting the entire thing white. Next, I mix some gray paint and outline the hat and head of the snowman. Then go ahead and paint in the black hat. I found an inspo picture I liked, so I'm changing the shape of my hat and copying how the face looks as well. Lastly, I hot glued on some red fleece fabric for the scarf. Here is the finished board. It's a snowman, but it likes to stay warm too, like Olaf. For this last project, I want to cut out Santa and his reindeers and make it look like they're flying over my TV. I purchased black poster boards from the Dollar Tree and cut everything out with my Cricut. Next, I laid all the pieces out and spaced them to fit the size of my fireplace. To create Santa's rein, I'm bending some wire to connect all the pieces together. Once you like how it all looks, hot glue the wire down behind the paper and make sure to leave some extra length at the ends so you can hang it. We wrapped some fairy lights around the wire to make it look even more magical and tied them above the TV with fish line and command hooks. And I'm finally done! Here's how my Christmas corner looks like. This was one of my most favorite DIY videos I ever filmed, and I hoped you enjoyed watching it too, and I'll see you in my next video. Merry Thriftmas!